What's up out there? Welcome back to Melvor Adventure Mode. This is episode 48. Um, I think in the last video I said something about getting 3 of the Fury of the Elemental Zodiacs. Those are done. I've got 3 of those now, so I've got those equipped. I have equipped everything basically that you need for the Impending Darkness event. So we're going to start that. We're going to do phase 1 today, and then we'll do phase 2 later, and 3 and 4 if we make it to that far. I've only made it through phase 1 on my standard account. I died at the beginning of phase 2 on that one, and then I died at the end of phase 2 on the second attempt. So I kind of get tired of making these attempts, so because it's kind of a lengthy battle, and then if you die, you got to start over from the beginning, so it really sucks. So that's what we're going to do here. This is probably going to be what we do for the foreseeable future, is just trying to go through this. Once you start the event, you can't do any other combat, so we can't gather resources there, but should have enough stuff gathered here. We can do all the non-combat stuff, you just can't do combat, so otherwise you have to back out of the whole event. So we have plenty of food, we have plenty of prayer points. I have 3 pieces of Slayer gear plus the max skill cape and Hunter's ring. That should get us through the first area, and that's on all 3 of these characters. It doesn't matter what piece you have, you just can't have, if you're running ranged, you can't run another piece of identical gear. So I just run what their combat triangles weak to. No real reason other than that. It doesn't do anything different. But because ranged attacks magic fairly easily, I just put the magic hat on. Same thing here. Magic versus melee and melee versus ranged. So nothing magical about it. It's just I needed a 3rd piece of gear on there, so that's why I did it. Let's see. We have the dragon on everything here, and we have the god gear on everything else. So let's see here. We should be running Diamond Lux, and we are ready to start the Impending Darkness event. And I have my handy cheat sheet here. So this 100% chance to ignore slow. On the wiki, they recommend that you take that first because the boss is immune to stun all the way through, which is fine, but all the other stuff is not immune to stun. So I kind of agree with somebody else said don't take that one first. But let's see, 15% to apply affliction. I think that's really low. Yeah. So the lower on the list is the worst ones to take. And 20,000 max hit points. We can play with this one here. There. We'll save that because I'll come back to it. So we're going to take this one here. Okay, so they have a little more hit points and they do less damage. Now, the order the recommended order, I guess, is to do the Unhallowed Wasteland first, switch your gear, and then go back through Dark Waters, Shrouded Badlands, and Perilous Peaks. That worked really well for the April event that we did, so I think that's what I'm going to do here. The thing is, you have to be ready to go once you hit this button because you could fight all kinds of crazy stuff. We are going to do, I guess we'll do water. Throw this curse on and throw that on for the faster spell speed. Guess we'll do it. This is thinking that you're either going to get those scorpions or the red claws or the greater skeletals first. Otherwise, we have to switch off. All right, let's do this. I think we're good to go. And I'm running protect item, and we're going to need to do this. I'm running protect item in Battle Heart. For whatever it's worth. Let's see, we're going to get stacks up. I have to start paying attention to this. So we haven't got a stack yet, and this thing's stunned, so that's good. Let's start catching on fire. Well, I meant them, not me. Okay, so I'm getting poisoned and I'm getting stuck on fire. That's not a good start. This is going to be a fairly lengthy event. They said it takes like 2 hours to complete, and I really don't feel like doing all that today. So that's why we're going to do just one phase of it here. Let's see, back to these guys. I can come over here and Canceled all my crops. That's going to be annoying seeing that flash. And this is, see, I'm on rapid and this is still slow. It's amazing how fast the event was and how slow this is by comparison. If you're trying to do this fight, you should pay attention here. We got plenty of, I thought this built up stacks. Maybe not. Yep, there we go. There's an affliction stack. Thought those built up. All right, we're gonna have to start healing here. Maybe not. And what are we gonna need? Yep, that's what I thought. Oh, you know, I'll try those two. Magic really burns these things down, though. Aside from that stun, I think I want to heal when we get stunned, just to make sure we're topped off. Because these things are what's killed me on my first account or my standard account. Take too much damage, just end up getting killed, and that's not a good day at all. Not at all. So let's see, I should pay attention to the damage. We're down to 3,900, so we're gonna have to heal. Stun. Definitely want to heal through those stuns. You have to let the stun complete, but you want to be fully healed. Otherwise you just take too much. I'm not feeling warm and fuzzy about this at all. My thing is, I don't know what else I can do differently, because this is like the recommended thing to do for maybe just manually healing the entire way, but that makes the fights that much slower. Getting a lot of stacks built up. Let's see, we're not getting the fire catching on either, which is odd. These things should be catching on fire by now, I would think. You know what I mean? Those are done. What do we got here? Bring this thing out. Shouldn't have to heal on this. There's basically two things that are very difficult in here, and that it's these first two areas. The greater skeletals on the first area are the worst. I don't think any of this stuff can kill you, quite honestly. Maybe they can. Surprised nothing's caught fire yet. That fire should be kicking off a little bit more than it should, or that it is. Interesting. There we go. There's some fire. The fire damage really helps. So we're back to red claws. Let's do... It does a little more damage. We'll do fire. And we'll do the attack speed on this one for sure. I feel like these were getting, well, of course, the different hit point range on here. This has a lot more hit points, I think, than the standard does, because it's times 10. So these would have not quite so many. Come on, die. And that thing's dead. What do we got here? Yep, greater skeletal. I kind of figured that was coming. These things are rough, and they come up a lot. They come a lot more than I think they, I shouldn't say they should, but they come up quite a bit. You'll fight 2, 3, 4 of these things. And if it's the last one, I think the last one in each of these areas is a boss. So if you get one there, it's, you know, the boss type. I'm basically just going to hold heal through here because I don't want to die to this thing. And what I think is unfortunate is I wish there was a way you could fast track through here. Like if you did certain things or ground something out, you could just skip some of these areas. Like this area, it's fine. You want to use this as a gate check or whatever, or a DPS check or whatever you want to call this. But some of these other areas are so basic. There's just nothing really there to kill you. And it just seems pointless. All right, so that thing's dead. Over to this. And I think, yeah, see, this has got a mist boss. It's got a little bit more health. A little bit more attack Yeah, I'll just hold heal. We should be good enough. 7920 is a lot of health to heal. And I think you can overheal. So meaning I don't know exactly how it works, but I think you can take more damage than your auto eat can take because of the extra healing you have. So if your auto eat's 4,000, you can take more, something along those lines. I haven't tested it. Like, I don't want to risk it because a lot of these characters are hardcore. Well, I have one hardcore, but just don't want to lose anything. So I don't really tinker with it very much. I shouldn't be holding heal there, should I? No. I'm taking a lot of damage as I go, and I'm not getting anything done. What's our auto eat? 4,000. Yeah, we're still good. Let this go. I'll kill this thing faster if I just let it run, I think. 3985. We still got a little ways to go. Keep him stunned and take a damage. See, that's why you don't want to take that stun on the first one, because this thing's getting pretty beat up by that stun. And if you take that immunity to stun, I mean, that's great for the final boss of each round, but in here, you lose that ability here. We're still in the auto eat. Why am I doing that? All right. So that's the first section. Now, what I usually do is reset over here to magic before I start the next round. And at this point, you can actually switch over to, this is where I wish we had like a 1A, 1B, 1C, something like that, where you could just have different gear setups, because now you got to change all your gear around because you don't need all this hefty stuff. So you can switch over to, let's see here. We can do this. You do much more interesting things here. We can do that. Click over. I should have just switched over to. We'll finish this one off here. So we're going to need the Hunter's Ring, I'm pretty sure. You have to negate the Slayer area. In fact, I think you have to have the headpiece on the entire time. I think you can switch the chest piece out. So let me go back and put that headpiece back on. What do we want to run for secondary? I think we'll do this thing here. Equip that on passive, or we could do Fighter Ring. Fighter Ring sounds a little better, although I don't get that. I don't get that combination. More damage reduction and global evasion. Yeah, I could use that, I guess. Let's see. So we're going to go with this setup here. I think you still need the max skill cape because you need to get into these areas. Like, you have to go into these Slayer areas. So you either have to have this stuff equipped, or you have to have that max skill cape. So I don't think you can take that off. Let's see. We're going to do this setup for this one. At this point, I don't think it's a big deal. Let's see here. We could leave that passive on. I don't know that there's anything more interesting I want to run here. Same with this. Maybe we'll do, let's see, we could do this on the passive and then do, did I put on, I don't think I did. Nope. That on there. Okay, so we're going to use that. I'll leave this set up like this because we're going to get good damage reduction with the melee or the magic, and keep the Slayer helmet on. I don't think there's anything else I'd rather have there. Okay, so now we're going to go into Dark Waters. The thing in Dark Waters that sucks is the Rockins. And they can pretty much still even kill your melee character. They're ridiculous. But from this point forward, everything just melts down pretty easily, so it's not a big deal. Shouldn't be anyway. And this is what takes so long, is just waiting on this crap to go through. And I don't know. I I see why people don't like this event. I mean, I'm struggling with it, and every time I have to restart it, I have to start the whole damn event over again, and it gets really annoying to come in here and have to start over. I mean, you get a little piece of gear that might help. What killed me on the last one is I went through the first phase, the first area, well, the first phase, I guess you want to call it. There's 5 different phases to this, 4 or 5, I think it's 5. And I went through the first phase, got my shield. I have 2 of the melee shields now because I've beaten that twice. And then I went to the third or the second phase and died at the end of that. Because I kept getting melee bosses. Like the boss, you can run away as long as you don't stop the event. You can run away and retry the area. So if things get a little dicey or whatever, you can just back out and come back. So you can retry the boss fight every time, and it just kept pulling up melee, and I ended up dying. I tried 3 or 4 or 5 times. I remember I tried several times, and it just kept coming up melee. So wasn't anything I could do with it. And then I died. I was like, well, I'll just let it go. And then I died. So, okay, the rockin'. These are the ones that are tough. So I'm going to switch this over to damage reduction. And I don't really have a whole lot. So these things do a lot of damage. And they hit hard. But again, that stun comes in. And if you hit them hard enough, you know, you can stun these things. The problem is they stun you and they hit really hard. So that stun gets to be pretty nasty. But we're getting a good shot on them. Come on, kill off. Switch to the Umboras. We'll go back to Lux. And we'll do melee evasion and decay. I kind of like that decay spell. There's a little bit of damage in the background, you know. Pretty sure it does damage in the background. 2% of max hit points. And global evasion. Not that it makes much difference, but probably pay attention to the healing or the amount of damage we're taking here too. Okay, so this is probably going to be another rockin'. Oh, another Umbora. So that's where I kept having it. I haven't died to one yet, but those rockin' hit so hard. You have to really be on point to fight those things. Not as much as the greater skeletals, but the greater skeletals have the most chance of killing you. The rockins are second. And then once you get to Bane, Bane is probably the most, no matter what, but you have to get through all this other stuff first. So, okay, that's dead. And we get a rockin'. Of course we get a rockin'. See, this thing does 33.95. Switch over to damage reduction, and then we get 22.31. So, I mean, it's pushing that auto eat right off the bat. If you get stunned, this thing does so much more damage. Again, I wish there was some easier ways of switching between this stuff. Like, I wish your potion button was down here somewhere. Just so you don't have to scroll around. But things are slow enough here. You get a couple of seconds to do this. During the April Fool's event, this was so fast. I mean, if it wasn't on autopilot, they gotta made it because you have to make changes too quickly. Okay, so we're doing 2,900 damage. We're still at 4185. This thing's not hitting hard, and it's staying stunned. So this is going to be the end of this area. Heal just because. And done. Okay, so we're going to switch back to Diamond Lux. And let's see, we'll go back to, I usually switch to magic right in the middle, just so I don't have to start over. We'll do search 2 on this. I know I'm wasting steps, and I wish I didn't have to keep selecting that magic, but it doesn't stay selected. So they recommend going to the Shrouded Badlands, which they say you can let your magic just go through and burn down. So we may just do that here. I'm surprised these things aren't lighting on fire anymore. And there we go. Get some fire going. Oh, and the other thing that's unfortunate is Ocean Song is like a benefit for water spells. It's not necessarily a benefit for fire and earth, and it kind of leads you to one style of combat, which I think is kind of unfortunate. Um, I wish there was better. I wish there was more interesting gear. Like this is the setup that you have to use for this. Not necessarily this exact setup for this area, but the way it's set up for the Unhallowed Wasteland is the exact setup you have to use. Like you can't deviate from that. I mean, you can. You're just going to make the battles take longer and not work as well. But I think it's unfortunate that we don't have like other gear choices or things that do something different or whatever. I mean, I hate having to be that specific. And the reason you have to be that specific is the things heal themselves. So you have to have all the three pieces of Slayer gear, the max skill cape, and the Hunter's ring, just to negate all the auto healing that they do, which that's fine. But you have to do that 5 times and you take a debuff every time you go. So it's just kind of like you go and get this burning madness gloves and the ring that corresponds to it, and then you can't use it at all in here, which is what really sucks. Um, I wished you could do a lot differently. Like you can't use the infernal cape because you have to get into these areas. You know, it just stupid things like that. Or I don't know, having to switch gear out so often. I don't like having to switch all that gear. And they were even saying that in between fights, like they wanted you to switch between the greater skeletals and the red claws to switch between two different things or whatever. And it's like, man, I'm not going to do all that. That you don't need to. May or may not help, but it's just too much gear switching, too much switching folders, and there's just not an easy way to do it. Okay, so this thing we're going to actually just switch over to melee because that's going to take it pretty much ignores this thing. And I can hit a lot better, use the combat triangle to my advantage. Magic can do all this and it does fairly well, but I'll let this stun and destroy. Um, one thing I tried on my standard account was to equip because I liked how fast we could attack during that April event. So I don't have it on here. I took the little not on the April event. I used this poison dagger, but there's the one that comes from that spider we just fought, and I can't show it. But there's I can't think what it is. It's a dagger that does bleed, dark steel dagger, and I tried using that in here instead of the tidal edge because it goes quicker, but it just didn't work out for me either. That's what got me killed this last time on the boss. Let's clear mist. What do we got here? You're just gonna get melted. You are gonna get melted. I think magic can just blast through this whole thing. I think magic can just destroy this whole area here. We get a benefit for we just get magic damage, but we can reduce the water cost, which I don't really care about runes. You know, I need to look at the runes. Yeah, we got plenty. Forgot to look at that earlier. I've been just slowly gearing up and trying to figure out how to attack this whole event or this the impending darkness dungeon or whatever. Um, just because it's so long. Yeah, see, these things are going to get melted. I mean, I could use my melee, but yeah, whatever. I'll let this thing run. I think they say at one point you can just let your magic go because even against the combat triangle, the magic just destroys this stuff. And got him burning. I feel like these things were burning a lot more in previous encounters. All right, you know what? Let's just switch over, see if this does anything faster. Oh, we stun locked it. Ooh, yeah. It's always nice stunning them right in the middle of those two. And I wish they had some, I don't know. I wish the two-handed weapons were a little better, like they had defense or something on them. I think the one God Dungeon one does. The Earth God Dungeon might have some defense or something. I don't know. We're going back to here. And I know I'm just kind of randomly switching some things here and there, but I don't know. I feel like changing things up sometimes. And wish this battle just went a little quicker. I mean, it's cool to manually go through this once, but dying so often and having to restart just sucks. And you're going to hear me say that a lot. So I am going to guess that's why people really hate this. And it's probably going to take a lot of attempts. The other thing that kind of sucks about it is there's not really anything you can do better. There's nothing you can change. You know what I mean? Okay, so we're at Bane and he is magic. So we have to take magic in here. And I think what we're going to do is switch out. We are going to switch this. Come on. I hate that. I click and slightly drag and it moves everything around. So we're going to equip that. So we're going to get this Burning Madness ring. Let's see. Now we should be able to do this one fairly easily. Do we need anything else? Leave protect on just because. Now, if you did not like this style, you can just run and redo this area. It literally just dumps you back out into the Perilous Peaks and lets you redo that. You don't have to redo this whole thing. You just redo the Perilous Peaks itself. So, I think we're set. We are using Diamond Lux. Let's start this fight. I'll heal for a little bit here, just in case. Okay, so we need to heal through Suffocate. Okay, that might be where I was running into some problems. So if you read this, it says the mist surrounds and suffocates you, dealing 0.5% of the enemy's max hit points damage 12 times over 3.3 seconds and applies sleep for 2 turns if your hit points are below 50%. So you have to keep that above 50%. But that's where you get that the burning or the fire ticking off in the background, because he can't do anything with that. He can't stop the fire. Once he's burning, he's good. Let's see. He'll suffocate, otherwise we get stunned. And that's probably what I didn't catch on my standard run, because that's, I think, what killed me was that. Now that I'm thinking about it, because I'm pretty sure I was stunned a lot, but I was watching this fight. I wasn't really participating in it. Live and learn. Own attack type for 5 of their turns. Suffocate again. We need that fire to trigger, because if the fire would trigger, getting into, yeah, we're heal. Get a hit in, heal. He's doing his suffocate thing. We need to stay north of that. Oh. Now the problem with melee is it's like a 3 or whatever. It's a very long attack. So I was trying to speed that up and get it down to this 2.5, because I think what ranged is 2.3. This is 2.5, and I think melee's, I don't know, 3 point something or other. So I was trying to use the Darksteel dagger with the bleed, because if you equip, like I've got the ring and the gloves equipped here, using the bleed gloves and ring on that side seemed to work out fairly well. Of course, maybe I just need to heal through everything and I'll be all right. The Darksteel dagger did seem to get a lot more burning and fire. Well, burning and bleeding, I should say. So we're through this part, and we got the shield of melee power, and now we have to pick a debuff. So 100% chance to ignore slow. Let's see, what do we want? 15% damage reduction. That's here. Player area effects. No, we don't want that. 100% chance to ignore slow effects. That's fine. Yeah, I guess we're going to have to take this one. It's getting kind of far down into the list. Plus 15% damage reduction. Oof, that's going to suck. It's going to make these battles a little bit longer. Okay. So we're going to take this one. And we could always stop the event and restart it if these stay going in this bottom part. I really don't want them down there, but going to have to take some of them there. The cool thing is we can come in here and we have a new item. Lock that down, throw it into this thing here, and we can equip this onto. This is going to go up damage reduction a little bit. Why am I getting an attack bonus? That's weird. Enemies have minus 5% damage reduction. That's cool and all. Passive is 10% melee hit. But it's odd that we don't have stab slash bonuses, stuff like that. We get attack bonuses for ranged and magic. That seems kind of odd. Okay. Well, we'll put that on. So that pulls a little better damage reduction. And the next time we go through the next phase, I think we get the ranged one. There's a ranged shield. I think there's a magic shield at some point too. So that is phase 1. We will come back next time and do phase 2. I think I'm just going to go back to cooking here and just to pass time, just do something. I'll have plenty of food. But this has been a long video, so we're going to have a few more of these sections to go through. So we'll do another one next week or whatever, or whenever I feel like going through this during the week. Next phase is going to have all those debuffs on, so that's going to suck even more. And that will do it for this video. We will catch you on the next one. Take care.